What's poppin' everyone? We are here with the first Teal Mask DLC Draft League. I'm super excited to bring to you all a brand new team for the season. Gonna be using mostly newer Pokemon that we've never drafted before, since obviously I want to provide you all with content on a lot of fun and diverse Emvee style teams. That's me. To explain how the draft works this time around, there are 14 of us playing and we each take turns drafting or picking anywhere between 10 to 12 Pokemon depending on our point budget, since we're given a set amount of points to draft Pokemon that are, each assigned a certain price value. Once a Pokemon is drafted for a team, nobody else can get that Pokemon. We're using lower tier Terra Captains and we have 15 points to get between 2 to 3 Terra Captains. So for example, I could get a 9.1 and a 6.1 since, the 9-point tier is the highest Terra Captain tier you can select from. And then each week for 8 weeks, we face off against a new opponent. Those with the highest record moves on to playoffs, and I'm sure you know the rest. Last time we made it all the way to the finals, which was great since we got the full content for the entire season, and now even more content for you all. So I hope you all are as hyped as I am. Please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so that you don't miss any of the exciting content. We're almost at 75k as well. New draft is called the Shuckle Premier League, run by Joey and Shuckle King, and I of course am in the council, one of the admins running the show. I had quite a few options of what I wanted for my first pick, even though, I was randomized in the 9th spot of the draft order. Not a very ideal place to be since a lot of great Pokemon got taken before me as well as after me while I wait for it to come back around to be my turn again. But there was one that stood out to me as perfect for the storyline. So the theme of this team is Evil Emvee. After losing the finals to Joey PokeaimMD with my Ursaluna team, I disappeared. Nobody knew what happened to me or where I went. Legends spoke of an evil bear wandering a secluded forest with its trainer, growing stronger with each full moon. And now I have returned. My first pick for this draft is no longer regular Ursaluna. It is in fact Bloodmoon Ursaluna. I feel like if I had Bloodmoon Ursaluna in the last draft, I probably would have won. This Pokemon is very unique in that it has the ability Mind's Eye, which is kind of like Scrappy, allowing you to hit through ghost types with all your moves, and also with the additional effect of ignoring accuracy and evasion stuff. Signature move is Bloodmoon. It's a super cool move, very powerful, and now with Moonlight Recovery, I probably don't always have to run Assault Vest sets anymore. I mean, looking at its stats, they look pretty great aside from, its special defense and speed, but its special defense can be compensated for with either holding an AV or using Calm Mind. It has that boosting Calm Mind move, so that's always cool. Nice priority as well in Vacuum Wave. Now, it could be that this Pokemon may be as underwhelming as Ursaluna was last season, but that's what we're here to figure out. I do have a feeling it'll be much better depending on the matchup, and regardless, I want to use new fun Pokemon this season, and I think Bloodmoon is one of the top fun mons in the game right now. Very excited to use it. On my last draft, after I picked up Ursaluna, I grabbed Meowscarada. The vastly polar opposite speed tiers felt quite nice to have. Something slow, bulky, and strong, and then having something fast, sort of frail and powerful. I went this route once again, and I picked up SNEASEL as my second pick. Very fast Pokemon and has the potential to fling big nuggets to activate Unburden. I feel like this Pokemon can activate Unburden in so many cool, unique ways aside from just terrain, which is pretty cool, and Fling Big Nugget. Not to mention, the Poison Touch ability, which can be nice to spread poisons around with things like Dire Claw for status spamming. Also, a nice Toxic Spike Absorber early on, and it's a good one at that, so quite useful. But yeah, overall, the two biggest things that stood out to me for this Pokemon is being super fast and Big Nugget. Quite strong too with the attack stat, and I think this Pokemon can be made to be bulkier than it is. Should you be using Unburden for speed boosts, you can focus on more bulk and offense, so maybe sponge a hit like it couldn't do before if you're running just max speed or whatever. Something to think about, of course, for when I team build. For my third pick, I saw there was a Pokemon still around that caught my attention as something that you would be expecting to get grabbed at an earlier time, but it was in fact not. I got my hands on the Prince of the Sea, MANAPHY. There is one exception to this Pokemon, however. It's that the move Take Heart is banned on it for this draft league. Honestly, I think that's still fine because I'm allowed Calm Mind and Tail Glow, and Manaphy is still Manaphy even without that move. I can see why in draft it could be way more difficult due to not being able to status it and for it to snowball out of control, especially after that one set I popularized with Acid Armor Take Heart with stored power. And the fact that Take Heart was banned probably was enough to shield it from people getting it until now, so I could get my hands on it, which is a big win in my opinion. I like Manaphy. Regardless though, I'm excited to use this Pokemon with base 100 stats across the board. I could see myself using Chinese EV spreads on this Pokemon for sure. Solid move pool as well, and one of the mons that gets Scald, knockoff, flip turn, and stuff like that for the new gen, so exciting. Great to have this Pokemon back. Now onto pick number 4. This was an important pick for me to get my hands on because I see the Pokemon that I just got as an enabler to some of the other mons I have on my team. Initially I wanted Rillaboom for grassy terrain to support Unburdened Sneasler and residual HP recovery on Bloodmoon Ursaluna, which doesn't have its special ground moves weakened by the terrain, but I found something far more sinister. I decided to get Galarian Weezing, which has useful abilities in Levitate, Neutralizing Gas, and Misty Surge. Misty Surge would allow me to activate Sneasler with Terrain, which is nice if I wanted to go that route, and since the effect of Misty Terrain is, not to get status at all of a sudden, Manaphy's Calm Mind under Misty Terrain is like Take Heart, where I'm boosting and not getting status, also weakening Dragon-type attacks, which could be pretty useful. Thought that was a pretty clever combination right there. Nice defensive stats and usable offensive stat on both the physical and special side. I believe it gets play rough now. But yeah, Galarian Weezing also gets Defog, which is cool, and if you think about Neutralizing Gas plus Defog, you can defog through Golden Go's ability, which is always fun. Love the support options on this Pokemon with Wisp, T-Spikes, etc. I feel like this can be really good because I have 2 poisons. It's nice to deter people from bringing Toxic Spikes versus me. 1 offensive, 1 defensive poison, and this also gives me my Fairy type, which is something I was definitely looking for on an earlier turn so I can get a good one. I was thinking about Pheasantipity initially, but Galarian Weezing seemed too valuable not to get. For my 5th pick, I got my Steel type. I told you all the theme was Evil Emvee for this draft. You remember Goodra from last season? It's a bit different now. It is now Hisuian Goodra. Even more powerful than before. I always wanted to use this Pokemon in draft because it has Dialga's typing, so it makes me feel like I'm using Dialga. This Pokemon has very bulky offensive stats, not much speed, but doesn't matter as long as we can tank everything and do damage. It's a prime candidate for a Chinese AV set, among other things. Great versatility in its move pool. There's a lot of coverage it has for a wide variety of matchups. I think Steel Dragon is a pretty solid typing since as a Steel type, its fire weakness is removed by, the Dragon typing that it has, and as a Dragon type, its Ice Fairy and, other Dragon weakness is removed by the Steel type. So you can shrug off those super effective hits a bit better on some of those attacks. New moves that it gets in the Teal Mask is knockoff, so we can remove items like opposing Assault Vests, do more damage with our special attacks. So far, my draft is looking super fun. I mean, I got Bloodmoon Ursaluna, Sneasler, Manaphy, Galarian Weezing, and Hisuian Goodra. Things get a little more interesting when we get onto pick number 6 because I decided to get my first Terra Captain of the team. We refined a lot of Terra Captains this season, so Pokemon like DUDUNSPARCE, Meloetta, Delphox, Hoopa, and more are not allowed to Terra due to how broken they were last time around. But this is the opportunity we have, right, to test new Terra Captains and show ones that can still be very strong, and maybe show ones we didn't expect to be as strong as we thought they were. This one in particular is, I think everyone knows to be very strong. I got ESPEON because I felt with Terastallization, solid speed tier, good offenses. It can be very dangerous to many teams. Magic Bounce is amazing. Offensive hazard control, like you saw, remember when I bounced back so many things with Hatterene? I can do that with ESPEON now. Store power sets are quite dangerous when you can Terastallize and remove your weaknesses. The Terra typings I chose, of course, had to be, it has to be your main stab plus 2 additional types. So for ESPEON, I went with Psychic, Fairy, and Electric. Fairy, I think, is perhaps the best Terra type for ESPEON because aside from all the resistances and immunities you get, you also get Stab Draining Kiss, which is pretty incredible for a strong Calm Minder such as ESPEON that doesn't have much HP, meaning you get a lot more HP back. You get a lot more health back quicker with Terra Fairy Draining Kiss getting powered up. Now Terra Electric is pretty neat since it helps avoid discharge paralysis. It gives you coverage to hit Pokemon like Corviknight, which Espeon didn't really have a reliable way of dealing with before, and only one weakness to ground, which you can capitalize on with some of your coverage, though only time will tell whether I keep this Terra type or swap it to something else like Ghost or Fighting or something else like that. Wasn't really sure about this one, but let me know your thoughts. I do feel like Fairy is at least 100% the best Terra type for this mon. Psychic of course had to run, but Electric I think is a really cool one for Espeon. But if you can think of any better ones, let me know. I could try some out depending on how things go. But yeah, really excited to use it. I was thinking Fire as well, but Electric I think is cool for a Pokemon like this. For pick number 7, my Zapdos turned evil. I now have Thundurus Incarnate as my Electric Flying. Initially I wanted to get Electros and some other stuff, but I was looking at opposing teams and realized a faster Electric Pokemon with coverage would be really good versus a lot of them. Thundurus is neat because it works really well on both the physical and special side. It looks evil as well, so it fits with the theme. With a great speed tier, faster than base 110s, which is awesome. Prankster is a useful ability for Taunt, Thunder Wave, and stuff like that. You already know me, I had to of course get the Yellow Magic Mon for spamming T-Waves, as I love to do. Classic Emvee. And the Defiant ability, of course, is quite cool as well for mixed attacking or physical attacking sets because it has a really good physical move pool. Very versatile. Like I could think of a good number of sets for this Pokemon, like different ones for each set that I could think of. There's very different sets you can run with this mon, and I'm excited to show you all what it can do. And now at this point in the draft, I realized I needed something to click Stealth Rocks reliably. Like I have great hazard control in Weezing and Espeon, and I actually play really strongly when no side of the field has hazards or when I bounce back opposing Pokemon hazards. But I at least wanted an option for myself, just to set up rocks in case they're beneficial, just for the event. This is when I saw a certain Pokemon looking right at me, and so I present to you all officially returning with last season's DUDUNSPARCE. It's back on the team. No longer a Terra Captain, unfortunately, since it's not allowed to be, but still, I think this Pokemon is great for what it can do. Amazing versatility and coverage with impressive stats. Can set up Stealth Rocks easily, spam Glare, you know how I like to do it, and now has access to Toxic, so it can break through things a lot easier if it wants to. Not much else to say about this Pokemon. You all saw what it could do last season, and let's see what new things we can make it do this time around. Now we're on to the second Terra Captain, another returning member of the team, but one from far into the past. If you are around to see the first Wi-Fi draft league I ever did, you may recall a certain dark ice Pokemon I had on my team. That would be SNEASEL. How cool is it that I have SNEASELer and SNEASEL on the same draft team, and I can easily bring both of them together since SNEASEL can break stuff for SNEASELer. I feel like as a Terra Captain, SNEASEL can be really good. I mean, if you remember week 1 of last season, I got hacked by one, so I already know how good this Pokemon is, and now it has knockoff, so it's better than ever. With Violet, it can become quite bulky for us to set up Swords Dance with, but we could also run with other items aside from Violet, like Boots, Band, probably some other stuff. Strong Pokemon to spam knockoff with, and fast too. Like, it's the second fastest Pokemon on my team, I believe, with SNEASELer being the first. The Terra types I went with are Dark, Fire, and Fairy. Dark, of course, I went with over Ice from its main stab typing because I feel like knockoff is just super spammable. It also removes the weakness to Stealth Rock, so I'm not confined to heavy duty boots for a lot of games or having to just bounce back hazards effectively or having to remove them before bringing it out. I figured Terra Fire would be a good call because I can't get flame bodied, I can't get burnt. It removes my fire weakness, my bullet punch weakness, my Fairy Moonblast weakness, and other stuff like that. I thought it was really good. And finally, Fairy, I thought was helpful versus fighting type Pokemon. It can destroy fighting types with Terra Blast Fairy, also resistant to Mach Punch. Grants nice resistances and immunity. Though I was also kind of leaning towards a Ghost Terra for the extreme speed immunity. And since, Ghost is a cool typing, but not entirely sure. Have to test it out and see what happens. Now, at this point in the draft, I only have 1 point left to spend for my 10th Pokemon, the bare minimum Pokemon I can draft, between 10 to 12 Pokemon. I was kind of a heavier spender during this draft because I wanted good mons and I definitely feel like I got them. I don't know if they'll all work together, but you know, that's the beauty of Draft League, trial and error. I can easily draft stuff I've used before and know works well, but I do value the uniqueness of the content, the story that I'm telling, and the fun, fresh teams I create. You could call it my gift to each and every one of you. For my 10th pick, I got a 1-point present, Delibird. I feel like Delibird has all the right moves and all the wrong stats. Its stats suck, but it has cool moves. I could run Hustle perhaps some weeks that I'm feeling risky and want to style on my opponent, but what's even cooler is that it has 2 abilities that do the exact same thing, Vital Spirit and Insomnia. Tell me if I'm wrong, but I don't think there's any difference between those abilities. I'll switch them up every now and then, maybe to throw my opponent off guard, but I do feel like it's valuable as a spikes lead. Potentially, like, there's a lot of really cool moves that it has that I don't want to get into too much detail about, since I feel like it could be quite surprising. And yeah, lastly, it gets Fling to give Big Nugget presents to our opponent. Let's actually do a quick recap of all the Pokemon on my team that can fling the Big Nugget. We got Bloodmoon Ursaluna, SNEASEL, MANAPHY, THUNDURUS, SNEASEL, and DELIBIRD that can all fling Big Nuggets. That's amazing. But yeah, once again, definitely subscribe if you haven't already. It would mean a lot. And if you want to see the full draft stream that we had, go check out Joey PokeaimMD's channel. We did the stream there this morning, and I believe we will be doing another one tonight on his channel talking about the draft, so follow us both for more. And that is going to be my new draft. It definitely has the appearance of an Emvee style draft. I'm quite happy with the Pokemon that I got this time around, and I look forward to hearing from you all in the comments on what you think about the team for the season. Has a lot of unique Pokemon and versatility, good defensive and offensive Pokemon, diverse speed tiers, and much more. First battle begins next Sunday, so of course, lots to look forward to. And with that being said, I shall see you all on the next one. Peace.